Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have Teen Sports Chatter. It's our second ever edition. As I'm your host, Kunal Singh. As usual, today is Friday, October 17th. We've got a lot of sports and topic stories to cover. With that, I would like to introduce my set. To my right, I have Jonathan Davis and Neil Vishwanath.
Nice to be back.
And on my left, I have Joao Ama and Josh Bain. A lot of topics. We got some football, some baseball, some basketball. We're going to start with football. NFL is about 7 weeks in, and some of the big storylines I want to talk about is DeMarco Murray. It seems like he's going to set big records this year. Another thing is also the disappointing NFC South. We had a lot of high expectations about that division, but this year they're not looking too good. Another thing, the NFC West. We had a lot of big debates about that last show. And Seattle, who us thought the non-Niner fans would win, are actually 3-2. Arizona and the Niners 4-1, 4-2. They look great. And then in the Eastern Conference, in the AFC. We have the San Diego Chargers. They look great. Phillip Rivers looks unbelievable. And they're actually beating Denver and leading that division. And another thing to our last show, I want to do some just comparison of what we said. We all thought the Seahawks would not lose for a while. It would be week 9 when they would play the Niners. But they actually have already lost twice. They lost at home to Dallas, and they actually lost at San Diego. So they're kind of struggling, not as good as we thought they would be. And a couple picks that we made, a lot of people laughed at Josh's Ravens pick. But they're actually looking really good. Their defense is great. Offense looks great. And a lot of you guys laughed a lot at my Dallas Cowboys pick. Everyone said their defense was so bad. They look amazing. Yeah. They went to Seattle, beat the Seahawks. Tony Romo looks great. DeMarco, Dez, that looks great. And so now I want to go to you guys. What do you guys have as your biggest storyline or surprise of the season?
Well, for my biggest surprise of the season, I'm actually going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Good job, Josh. Specifically without Ray Rice. They've been doing a great job getting the ball down the field. They have a wonderful 35-year-old Steve Smith who seems to have made some kind of recurrence. He's playing wonderful. He's got 16.5 yards per reception, and he's got 4 touchdowns. I really, really like where he's going. Yeah. I really like the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. For me, I got to go with defense in general. Okay, if we look at some of the greatest big surprise teams right now, we have the San Diego Chargers, okay? They are winning because of their defense. They've only allowed 91 points this season, boys, lowest in the NFL. Look at Arizona. Okay, who do they even have on offense other than Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Ellington? Nothing special, but their defense is getting it done. That's why they're on top of a very good division. And finally, like you said, got to give you credit there, Dallas defense. They are amazing, but last year they were 32nd. They looked like they got worse in the offseason, but boy, are they playing a lot better than expected right now.
A lot of you guys said, the worst defense in history. What do you got to say about all this?
Well, I'm going to go with the fact that there's no front runner this year. You know, every year there's a clear-cut team or a couple clear-cut teams that you think can win the Super Bowl. But this year specifically, I don't feel like there's anybody. You know, there's no undefeated teams, and we're only going into Week 7. And Seattle, who I thought was going to win, has already lost 2 games. So I honestly have no clue who's winning the Super Bowl right now.
Definitely got to agree with that.
My biggest surprise of the season, it's got to be the San Diego Chargers. Both Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates are having great seasons. They're proving that age is just a number. A lot of people said Phillip Rivers was out of his prime. He's not going to have a good season. He's going down. But he proved them wrong. And like Neil said, Chargers have a great defense this year, I really like him a lot.
Don't forget about Brandon Oliver. He's really stepping up right now. It's going to be crazy.
We'll get back to him later.
With the injuries of Ryan Matthews and then Donald Brown.
Yeah.
That's a key thing.
Right there.
Yeah. And so for me, my biggest storyline's got to be DeMarco Murray. He's setting records. He's playing so well right now. He's really giving the balance that allows Tony Romo to do what he's got to do. My biggest surprise is the NFC South. The Falcons, who we thought were going to be great, are 2-4. The Saints are 2-3. And Carolina, who we didn't think was going to be as good, they're not even that good, right?
No.
They're 3-2.
They're not good.
So yeah, NFL is full of surprises every year, dude. None of us know what to expect. And now with that, I want to talk about some of the serious issues in the NFL that's been going on this year. A lot of suspensions, drug suspension, PEDs, all that stuff. But then also abuse allegations. It's just really sad. And it's been taking a big impact on how it affects the players, the careers of the players, and then the teams, but more importantly, how it just affects the image of the NFL. Do you guys have anything to say about that?
Well, I don't think any team wants a Ray Rice on their team and Adrian Peterson on their team right now after what they've done. It just doesn't look good for their franchise, for everything they're promoting. It just does not look good. Yeah, that's basically really it. That's all I have to say.
It's just it's such a sad thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard right now because the NFL is going through a really tough times. There's also the concussion problems. They're setting in a bunch of new rules about contact and things like that. I think JD is going to get into that later.
Yeah.
And with all these suspensions, it's just the NFL's getting such a bad rep right now that it's turning off a lot of fans from the beauty of the game.
You know what I do like though is that before, Alden Smith was suspended for 9 games for a drug abuse, but Ray Rice was only suspended for 2 games. And I really like the rule change there. Taking him out a lot longer. Ravens terminated his contract. I mean, that's a positive. You got to look for the positives.
Yeah.
It's kind of when so many bad things happen in such a short span in such a storied and loved organization, people start looking at the leadership, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think Roger Goodell has done a pretty good job managing the league in prior years, and it also comes down to the players making responsible and smart decisions, because it's really just sad, guys, to see such a talented player like Adrian Peterson or Ray Rice go out, or even one of my favorite players, Ray McDonald on the Niners, going out for domestic violence as well. Bottom line, though, the suspensions were necessary. The league has to crack down on these type of things. They're not supposed to be accepted in our modern society, and I understand what they're doing, and I hope that really the players will learn from this, and that in the future that these type of stories won't come up as often.
Yeah, hopefully all this stuff, all this, it's just a terrible situation for the NFL. And not just how it looks, it's like more than that. And then now people are starting to question other big sports in the U.S., like basketball. I know a couple investigations have been launched.
Yep.
They're going to try and look for that stuff. Hopefully nothing happens. And there's also, they're going to try and implement like a no excuse policy. It doesn't matter if you had alcohol or drugs in the system. They're just going to try and give just no excuses and just try and protect all the people that have been harmed by this stuff.
Someone I want to bring up is Michael Vick. He's on the Jets now, but you saw how a couple years ago he was. It's actually very similar to the Ray Rice situation in my eyes, how he abused dogs, and obviously I was a big fan of Michael Vick. I'm also I'm a big Ravens guy. I loved Ray Rice, but these things have to happen, and the suspension with Ray Rice, it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's a tough thing, but now we're gonna get over to our happy side, the good stuff, the fantasy. It's probably one of our favorite things in our life that we debate about, all that fun stuff. And so the injury report, injuries have been a huge thing this year, and I just want to personally cover. I'm just going to list off a bunch of names that have all had injuries already. Stephen Ridley, Dennis Pitta, Zach Stacy, Noshawn Moreno, Ryan Matthews, Jake Locker, Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, Mark Ingram, Rashad Jennings, Robert Griffin III, AJ Green, Jimmy Graham, Toby Gerhardt, Harry Douglas, Eric Decker, Vernon Davis, Victor Cruz, Reggie Bush, Donald Brown, Monty Ball, Donnie Avery, and Calvin Benjamin just got a
Did
concussion.
I hear Darren Sproles in there too?
Darren Sproles.
Oh,
yeah.
Ben Tate.
This is only on the offensive, on the big
Exactly.
fantasy players.
Exactly.
And Gerard Mayo, all these players are out. I
So
mean,
many
guys,
players.
why is this happening? What's with the inconsistency? Why is everything so unpredictable?
Well, in my eyes, it's due to these long, random touchdowns to these random players like Antone Smith. Did anybody know who Antone Smith was before this year?
No.
Nobody did. But he's a top 10 fantasy running back right now. He's ranked 10th. Another man, Ahmad Bradshaw, one, backup running back, maybe shares time with Trent Richardson in Indianapolis. He's like 5th running back in the league right now, and that's off of receptions. I mean, they haven't had any 100-plus rushing yard games. Antone Smith hasn't even gotten over 60 yards yet.
Yeah, I got to say the inconsistency, it starts in the first round, guys. This year, only 2 picks really have panned out well in this first round. Lynch and, of course, like you said, DeMarco Murray. And it really shows. If you look at most ESPN standard leagues, these type of teams are winning. It's crazy how just the first round player can make such a big difference. Yeah. And if you look even more than that, it's the pass game too, okay? If you look at, there's no clear-cut wide receiver one, maybe Antonio Brown, but other than that, no one's really playing well. So it's really been week by week by these big plays like JD was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first round is huge. I blew my first round draft pick. But then the second, third rounds were also difficult because, look at Le'Veon Bell, a common third round draft choice. Look at Zach Stacy, a common third round draft choice. Look at the difference between their productions. Like, you could not have expected that coming into the season.
Giovanni Bernard.
Bernard. These guys that kind of arbitrarily are going off and dominating the league right now, you couldn't have really planned. All the projections, all the talking heads, everyone, nobody expected this to happen.
I think with fantasy drafts, a lot of it is luck. Like, I picked Jimmy Graham in the first round of our league. Like, how could I predict that he was going to get injured? And the list of all those guys, they have big fantasy roles. You can't just predict them getting injured.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So injuries have been a huge thing, and with that, I want to kind of go over to our first rapid fire segment of this show. And we're gonna start with the biggest bust.
Either Drew Brees or Eddie Lacy, my first round draft pick, unfortunately.
I'm going Keenan Allen.
Gotta go Monty Ball. He has not done anything.
Definitely Zach Stacy.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Monty Ball just hasn't looked very good, and the biggest and the best surprise of this year.
DeMarco Murray.
I'm going to have to go DeMarco Murray on that one.
Phillip Rivers is on fire.
Like I said earlier, Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates.
All right, I gotta go Steve Smith. The guys looked really great this
favorite
season.
pickup,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and the best value pick, what seems like the best value pick in our draft.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
I'm going Emmanuel Sanders on that one.
Julius Thomas.
I'm going Jeremy Maclin.
I gotta go Calvin Benjamin. I mean, he's a rookie. He scored a touchdown. I think 4 touchdowns was a lot for a rookie. And the best waiver pickup right now.
Brandon Oliver. I know a lot of leagues might have him. I think he's owned at 80%, but pick him up. The guy's a beast.
I'm going Justin Brissett. I'm not sure why he's not owned in 100% leagues right now.
Ronnie Hillman or McKinnon. Both of them very good starting running backs.
Definitely Odell Beckham Jr. Victor Cruz is out for the season now.
Yeah, I've got to go with, again, Justin Forsett. I mean, the guy averages like 6.4 yards a carry, something like that. Only owned in 55%
He's a beast.
of leads. So, yeah, you got to pick him up. And the best buy low option right now.
Larry Fitzgerald. Carson Palmer just came back.
You love
nice
him.
15 fantasy points right there.
I got to go Cam Newton, top 4 quarterback every year, and he's getting there.
Calvin Johnson. He's hurt right now. This is when you get him.
Definitely Matt Stafford. When Calvin Johnson comes back, he's going to have a great season.
I got to go with Alfred Morris. The guy's a workhorse. Usually will get about 20 carries a game and a touchdown, but right now he's only carried the ball 12 to 13 times a game, and I see him getting a lot more carries. So I think you could definitely buy low on him. Woo, that was a hot rapid fire. Huh? All right, and now we're going to go much more casual, laid back. What are your players to watch, teams to watch, games to watch, kind of open discussion?
So
fire.
there's a big Sunday night football game this week between the 49ers and Broncos. I think that's a really good one to watch. 49ers looking really good right now. I think they finally find their stride.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick seems to know his offense better. He's not calling any timeouts. Against a good Denver Broncos team in Denver, they're the Denver Broncos. They've been throwing touchdowns since day one.
A lot of primetime games to
Watch out for
Phillip.
Phillip Rivers this week, too, against Kansas City. He might have a good day.
Yeah. What about you?
I got to go with something to watch right now is the Seahawks. Can they bounce back? Because right now they're not looking like the champions they were last year. Their defense has been struggling, and their offense, they haven't really fed the ball to Marshawn Lynch. They're going a little away from the scheme that really got them to the Super Bowl. And, of course, the Niners-Broncos game. 2 potentially amazing teams who are right now second in their division. And then finally, I'd love to see what's going to happen with the Broncos backfield right now. I don't think Monty Ball has a starting job even when he comes back week 9. But there's a lot of other pieces there with Hillman, Thompson, and C.J. Anderson. We want to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I've got to go with players to watch. Phillip Rivers. I don't know if he's going to stay this hot,
He
but
will
if
stay
he,
this hot.
yeah, if he does, then
He will.
it's great for him, great for your fantasy team. And my game to watch is actually next Thursday night, San Diego at Denver. That's going to be a good one. I think
yeah.
whoever can win those divisional games will end up winning that division.
Teams to watch, I got to go Cowboys. The entire spotlight's on them. They beat the defending champs at home, which is supposedly impossible, and they have a reputation for choking away games. So we just got to see if they can stay healthy and keep grinding out these wins with the run game.
A couple players to watch. One is Brian Hoyer. Okay, everyone thought Johnny Manziel would be in the game by now, but Brian Hoyer has actually looked very, very impressive this season, guys. And also, speaking of quarterbacks, Eli Manning has looked pretty good in the past couple weeks. He's thrown less interceptions than he had before, and I think he's starting to get on track. Also, my game to watch, Week 13, Philly versus Dallas. Okay, they're both 5-1. They're both in the NFC East. I think it's going to be a good battle.
Yeah, and another thing about quarterbacks, there have been a lot of quarterbacks that have gone under the radar, under the Drew Brees, that just haven't been looked at as much. Like Joe Flacco had 5 touchdowns in almost
Yeah,
one
scary.
quarter.
That was
Right,
beautiful.
Eli
It was
Manning's
beautiful.
looked good.
Brees is
Russell
dreaming
Wilson
about that right
even.
now.
Russell
Russell
Wilson has
Wilson's
had a
been
lot of
great.
fantasy
So
points. I mean,
crazy.
Russell Wilson's great. I love him.
do you guys
Did you
have
see,
any?
Did you see what happened last week though with Russell
what?
Wilson? He couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Okay,
Marshawn Lynch out.
yeah.
on the
do it.
first show, this kid was right. He said you take out
Sorry, guys, I
Marshawn
had
Lynch.
to be right.
The Cowboys took out Marshawn Lynch.
That's how
They
you win.
made Russell Wilson beat them.
126
Russell
passing
Can't
yards,
do
no
it.
touchdowns, one
Can't do
interception.
So
it.
because think about it, that's what makes Wilson so good though. The team has to play the run because if you don't play the run, Marshawn Lynch is gonna burn you. So they're trying to pick between which poison to take, and right now Wilson has gotten a lot of easy passes. We'll see how that pans out later if teams can find a way.
person.
What
to
about
stop
that
Lynch.
Percy Harvin trade today,
That
though?
is true.
That
Oh,
person-
yeah,
yeah,
lost
that
their
makes
best
sense.
wide
Yeah,
receiver,
right.
and Russell Wilson. You know, he can do his job, but he's not.
He needs that Percy
He's not
Harvin
that
sweep.
game changer
Bro,
right now.
mid-round draft pick, guys. Come on, what are they
what?
thinking?
I don't
It's
know.
just not smart.
All right, and
But
with
something I want to talk about is who will the Jags beat?
yeah,
They're
No
0-6
one.
right now.
yeah, there are a lot of
Who
teams.
can they
Practice
beat?
squad.
Who will the Raiders beat? No one.
No, there are a lot,
Nobody.
a lot of teams where you don't know who they're going to beat. And NFL is always unpredictable. So with that, we're going to wrap up this segment, and I'm actually going to cover a little bit of baseball. And as a lot of you guys know, the local team here, the San Francisco Giants, have actually just made it to the World Series. They'll be facing the Kansas City Royals. And I think this is one of the most interesting series, definitely the most interesting World Series that I've ever seen. I mean, I've been watching the game for about 10, almost 15 years since I was born, and it's just crazy. The Royals play small ball. They have just their speed on the bases and a lockdown bullpen. They've been doing it with these unknown players like Jared Dyson, with Alex Gordon, who else? With Alcides Escobar. They play this this different style of baseball, and even the Giants, they just grind it out. Good starting pitcher, amazing bullpen. They just know how to grind it out, get big hits. Like last night, who was Travis Ishikawa? Travis Ishikawa went yard walk-off Pat Neshek, and also Michael Morris had a big home run. And I definitely think this series is going to be one of the best series you're ever going to watch as you're alive in the World Series. And then, so that is all for baseball. Good luck to the Giants.
Thank you.
And now basketball's just around the corner. Hopefully we'll have a great season with that. And just now we just had a quick panel switch. I would like to introduce Vishal Bomdika. It's his first time on the show. He's kind of our big basketball expert analyst, big Warriors fan here. And so a quick overview of the season. As a lot of you know, the Spurs raised the banner, or will be raising the banner. They won the championship last year. And some things to look out for: the strong Western Conference, the young and the weak Eastern Conference, and just the amount of young talent around the game is actually incredible. Such a great draft class last year. And so what are your guys' teams to watch and players to watch for the upcoming season?
Well, first I gotta give a go Giants.
Yeah.
Go Giants, guys. Finding the diamond in the rough. I like the Bulls in the Eastern Conference. With Rose coming back, hopefully he stays healthy. Pau Gasol, excellent addition to that big men core. You also got Joakim Noah. He's a beast. You saw what he did last year, triple doubles by a big man. Who thought that could happen? Very, very scary looking team. Jimmy Butler, great defensive player. I also like the Timberwolves. I'm not sure they're going to do well, but I think they're a team to watch. Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Thaddeus Young.
It'll be a fun team.
Very
to
fun
watch.
team to
Yeah.
watch.
All right, I got to go with the team to watch right now is the Miami Heat. Everyone thinks they're looking at Cleveland, but all the eyes are also on Miami because they just lost their team, okay? But they have a lot of other star players who really came down while LeBron was dominating there, and it'll be amazing to see how they step up this year. And player to watch, kind of got to go with his Bulls pick. I think Derrick Rose is what we got to really look at right now. Can he return to MVP form? Last year when he was coming back, it was all anyone was talking about. This year, like you said, the Spurs winning, all the offseason acquisitions have really changed things up, so he's a little bit in the shadows. I want to see how he does, though.
Yeah, hopefully he stays healthy.
Think so.
I'm a Celtics fan personally. Like, I'm against the Bulls, but he's such a fun player. He's
Yeah.
a great player to watch.
Hate to see him
Yeah, you
go.
hate to see him. And what about you, Josh?
Well, I really like the Wizards this year. And with Bradley Beal going down, I think the player to watch now is John Wall. He's going to have to take over even more of this team. He's going to have to take over more scoring than he has previously. Everybody knows he's a great assist man, but he also has no shooting range. In the preseasons, he shot horribly. Last year, he shot pretty decently, I think 35% on three-pointers, made about one a game. But he has to continue that improvement so that he can push his team into a top 3 slot.
Yeah, what about you, Vish?
I'm gonna have to agree with Joao on the Washington Wizards because even when once Bradley Beal comes back, John Wall and Bradley Beal are arguably the second best backcourt in the NBA, second to none only Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Of course.
Always got to go
And then
Warriors.
also you got to consider the offseason acquisitions of Paul Pierce and Andre Miller. Paul Pierce is an instant offense even at this age of 38 or 37.
true.
And you have Andre Miller who has run Denver bench for the last 2-3 years, and he can run the bench unit, and he'll be a huge part of the Washington Wizards.
Even
Kill the
though
Warriors.
he's so old, I mean, he just seems like he can get it on. I also want to watch the Wizards. They're a great team. Added Paul Pierce, obviously. That's that clutch dynamic player and a true leader. And my player to watch is actually Robin Lopez. The Trailblazers were so hot last year. He actually went under the radar because he's a big defensive player. LaMarcus Aldridge obviously had a huge breakout season last year. So I really think he's a very underrated player, and he'll step up a little because I don't think LaMarcus he will be as hot as he was last year. And so I want to give you guys a couple questions to answer. And besides like a big storyline, it's like I want to talk about Cleveland. Obviously, getting LeBron, getting Kevin Love, they did big things, but are they going to do big things this year?
I personally think they will. They have Kyrie Irving. I mean, his stats are going to drop. I think his assists are going to go up. He has a lot to do on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically the head of that whole team, managing where everyone goes. It's the point guard's, position. Then you got your superstar, LBJ, none other than LeBron James. Then you got a kind of a nice complement, an inside-outside kind of threat, Kevin Love, along with Dion Waiters, Tristan Thompson, Anderson Varejao, Mike Miller, good for 2 threes, a game.
Yeah.
I see them doing good things.
Yeah.
What it comes down to for me is, sure they're going to take a little time to, get together, get their playing styles worked through, and really succeed. But who's going to compete with them in this Eastern Conference right now? Just
No one.
Chicago, right? So regardless, they're going to be a top 2 seed, and LeBron in the playoffs, boy, that is scary.
Yeah. I heard it's pretty windy over in Chicago. What do you got?
I think the problem is that everyone's talking about Cleveland as, title or bust. And in that regard, I think they'll bust. I think they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think the Bulls will do better because the Cleveland just doesn't have any defense right now. Kevin Love is notorious for his bad defense. Same thing with Kyrie Irving, Dion Waiters. LeBron James has been slipping recently on the defensive end, maybe due to effort, maybe due to shouldering too much
but
offense.
he said he's back in shape, lost a lot
He's
of weight.
saying he's
also
back
this
in
year.
shape. I want to see it,
whatever. Yeah.
They have to have some defensive cohesion.
Yeah.
I'm with Joel on this. I think it's going to take time for Cleveland to get their chemistry going and for their offense to run smoothly, along if they can maybe become a good defense team as a team goes along. But also, Neil, you said the competition is just the Chicago Bulls, but it's not just the Chicago Bulls. It's the Chicago Bulls. They have Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah. They have Pau Gasol. I mean, they're going to be a great team, and I see Chicago coming out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think definitely the big thing is defense. Can they have the right defensive system? Can David Blatt implement that in his first year in the NBA? And I definitely, whatever, dude. I don't like Cleveland. I'm a Celtics fan. I do not like Cleveland. I mean, they got
Stay
LeBron.
faithful.
They've got Kevin Love. They've got a lot of great players, but I personally don't think they're going to pull it off. Whatever, that's just me. But yeah, they are a great team. With that, I want to throw it to our second rapid fire segment of the show. All right, let's start it off with our biggest bust team.
Charlotte Hornets.
Houston Rockets.
Portland Trailblazers, they're not going to be as hot as last year.
Houston Rockets.
Yeah, I got to go Brooklyn Nets. I don't really see Jason Kidd as a great coach this year. Biggest surprise team.
The Wizards.
Yeah, gotta agree. Wizards.
Mavericks, look at their starting 5.
New Orleans Pelicans. They're finally healthy.
Yeah, I got to go with the Pelicans also. The thing with the Wizards, they were pretty good last year. I mean, they're not a huge surprise, but I definitely think there's going to be an improvement in that squad. What about Coach of the Year?
It's a toss-up. Popovich, gotta go with the man.
Jeff Hornacek.
Doc Rivers.
Jeff Hornacek.
I'm gonna go Flip Saunders. I mean, he's got a lot of offensive weapons. I mean, he could do some stuff with that. What about MVP?
LeBron James.
It's no fun, but LeBron James.
Yeah, it's always LeBron. He's too good.
LeBron James.
Psych. Anthony Davis. Okay. Anthony Davis.
It's possible.
He's like
Kinda.
the old. Yeah. Okay. Anthony Davis, not LeBron. Okay. Most improved player this year.
Tim Hardaway Jr. He looked really good last year.
I gotta go Gorgie Jang.
Chris Bosh is going to be a superstar again. I'm calling it.
Harrison Barnes, especially if he takes over the starting role.
I gotta go with Larry Sanders. Kind of an off year last year, right? You drafted him high. I
Struggled there.
definitely think he's gonna be on the come up next year. DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year.
Anthony Davis. There you go.
Joakim Noah.
I love Tyson Chandler this year.
LeBron James.
I gotta go Serge Ibaka. No, Serge Ibaka. He's just so good on the defensive end. I don't think anyone's better than him, honestly. And all right, so now over to our fantasy basketball. A little less toned down, but we still love our fantasy basketball.
Always
Quick
love our
injury
fantasy
report. Injury report on the big players. Kevin Durant's out. He'll be reevaluated about a month into the season. Paul George will be out for a while. Kyrie Irving's not completely healthy. Hopefully Derrick Rose can stay healthy. And MC Dub, Michael Carter Williams, the great player who it seemed to be last year, great rookie for the 76ers. He's injured right now, and Rajon Rondo actually broke his hand in the shower.
Yes.
Love hearing that. All right, so and so, what are your late round steals for this year in fantasy basketball?
I think a lot of people are overlooking Thaddeus Young. You know, he's on the Wolves now.
Great
He's got
player.
great player. He was good on the Sixers last year, even though they kind of tanked, so you couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
You know, I like the way he plays. Also, maybe Jordan Hill.
Yeah,
Just
like
throwing
him.
it out there. Maybe he's an athletic player. I mean, they have Julius Randle. They had a couple other guys too. He's not bad.
Yeah,
He's
some
all right.
people
He's got
think-
kind of a
yeah.
mid-range shot now
Yeah.
too. I saw.
Yeah,
I guess
his,
the Warriors when they
his
got spanked.
value. Some people think that the value will decrease because of Carlos Boozer
Yeah.
and
Very
Julius
interesting.
Randle.
With depth always
So,
comes.
yeah.
And I got to go with Nerlens Noel. Okay, he was a rookie, but he didn't really play that much last year. If you can take him this year, he's healthy. I think he's going to be a double-double machine. All right, guys, he is so big on a 76ers team that doesn't really have too much depth. And I also got to go with Anthony Murrow. Okay, he's a shooting guard for the OKC Thunder.
Yeah.
And so right now he's going to be a piece backup right now, but I think that given some time, he can really step up in the role that Durant is going to leave with his injury.
Yeah, for especially that first month. But see that they have Scott Brooks has a lot to do with there. He's got Jeremy Lamb, Russell Westbrook, and who's also there? Kevin Durant, but obviously, Reggie Jackson at the
There we go.
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shuffling to do there. What about you guys?
Well, I like the Noel pick, but I gotta rep my team and say Jeremy Lin.
Okay.
You know, Steve Nash hurt his back carrying suitcases. I mean, he's 40 years old. Okay? So Jeremy Lin, I think he'll get a lot. He'll get the ball a lot, and he can put up some offensive numbers. That'll help you out in fantasy.
I'm gonna have to go with Robin Lopez because I just feel if you watched Portland's games last year, he had around 13 points a game, around 9-10 boards a game. So he's gonna get double doubles consistently, and you have to remember that he's a big part of Portland's offense. He's gonna get 3 assists every now and then. He helps move the ball. And also, I'm gonna have to disagree with Joao saying Jeremy Lin. He's not gonna get the ball a lot with Kobe Bryant on the team.
Kobe don't pass.
Kobe don't pass.
That
I gotta
controller's
go
just shooting buttons,
Yeah,
no passing button.
I gotta go Kemba Walker. I think he's gonna have a much more improved role in that offense. And so now we're gonna just bring it over to end of the year. What do you guys think? Who's gonna win the Eastern and Western Conference Finals? Who's gonna raise the banners at the end of the year?
So in the Eastern Conference Finals, I have Cleveland versus Chicago. I have Cleveland winning that. And then I have Warriors OKC in the Western Conference Finals.
All right,
I really.
All right, and then I'll come back for the.
I gotta say Cleveland versus Chicago as well, and I think LeBron's really gonna take control right here with his young team and step it up and take them to the finals.
I'll go Cleveland, Chicago, and I think Chicago's coming out there.
I'm gonna go with Cleveland and Chicago too, and Chicago.
Yeah, I gotta go Washington and Chicago. I don't think Cleveland's that good. Clips OKC. Now quickly, who's gonna win for everyone?
I think OKC's winning the whole thing.
All right, I gotta go with LeBron and the Cavs.
Bulls.
OKC.
I gotta go OKC. And thank you guys for tuning into our show. I hope you enjoyed it. We give out great fantasy advice, so much better
Stellar.
than the people on ESPN, and you don't gotta pay for us. And so please like the Media Center on Facebook, and please follow the Media Center on Twitter at MC Sports Crew. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. See you guys next time.